Hi, everyone. It's Norman Kochnik here from Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnik, live once again. I think this is about the 41st or 42nd live. I've done almost 200 videos as well, so we've got a lot that we've got there for your selection. Interestingly enough, though, there's been obviously a lot of people doing the IPL auction. I jokingly said Aftermath, Lowdown. Did you see that, Chris? Lowdown?
Yeah, I saw a little bit, yeah.
I think it's worth having a look at that. It's either the Aftermath, Lowdown, Breakdown, or Shakedown. It's all those things for all sorts of people. This is Norman Kochnik. We've got Chris Vernon at Vern158 and at Norm Koch. Now, don't forget, as the IPL progresses, and there is an update, I'm trying to get there. My mother's not well at the moment, but I'm going to try and work something through that. And the point is that there's so much more to see of this IPL, and I've got all the sides up in front of me. Thanks to Sri Harsha, who do a brilliant coverage of the naming listings and people and everything. They coordinate names flashing with pictures of the people. I think it's fantastic. Gives people a good vision as to who's who. But to me, the IPL, we have so much to talk about. From an Australian perspective, I've heard a lot today. Jai Richardson was interviewed. He says he's still trying to digest the $2.4 million that he got paid. Is going to get paid. Glenn Maxwell is well above that. Can you work out, Chris, how Steve Smith could get 400,000 and Jai Richardson get 2.4?
Yeah, I think it's just how the sides take massive value in big fast bowlers, don't they? And I think that Steve Smith, although in Test cricket he's one of the best in the business, I think that his skill set isn't as suited to IPL, and I think that as just a frontline batter, a lot of the sides have those bases covered. So I assume that can be the only reason, is that they see the fast. I mean, look at always overseas wise, the biggest guys who go for the most money. The last four I can think of. I think the four most expensive, Jai Richardson, Pat Cummins, Chris Morris, Kyle Jamieson, they're all fast bowlers. So
yeah, no, okay, I kind of get that, but still, batsmen have got to score runs, don't they? I mean, you can bowl well, but you can also bat well. So I don't know. They're saying that Chris Morris, is it Morris? It is Morris. I keep forgetting his last name. Chris Morris, 16.25 crores. But Coley's on a hell of a lot more than that. He's on at least 17, if not more.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how it works with how much they get paid, but yeah, I don't think I don't think Virat Kohli's hard up for a few bob or two. That's for sure.
No. All right, we've got the 8 teams announced, as in full squads. Mm-hmm. I noticed some teams have got more players than others. Can you explain that to me? I would have thought it would be equal numbering for all.
I think that they can have a maximum of 25 players.
Doesn't mean they have to.
No.
Yeah. Okay. I still can't work that out. If you've got 25 positions, you want 25 players, unless you've got someone who's worth overs and you lose a player because of the overs. But that's ultimately a bit of a risk. Okay. RCB is going to rock this time. Rolex Spector says. Let's start with RCB for the sake of record then. Royal Challengers Bangalore's full squad.
Yeah.
Who have we got next? Let me have a look. We got in the squad there. Well, Virat Kohli's obviously there. In fact, I think it was Music Harmony who's been banned. No, he hasn't. He's back. But if Music Harmony doesn't tell us who he is, we're going to ban you. No, I'm joking. All right. Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers. That sounds like a dynamite pairing straight away, but that's not necessarily the case. I think I'm still going to make a very clear case for it. Doesn't have to be packed full of great players to be able to win this. It has to be packed with players that complement each other, create a good side, have the harmony of the team, not music harmony, but cricketing harmony, and win accordingly. Don't you think, Chris? It's not about having a big name.
They've always been a side that has just been thereabouts and have always competed, but always sort of been let down with their lack of sort of a quality finisher or a quality sort of strike bowler. And I think that if you look at who they've bought this year, especially overseas wise, they've really targeted sort of those areas. They've picked up Kyle Jamieson, obviously, for a big fee, and then Dan Christian and Glenn Maxwell, two Australian guys renowned for their potential ability to win games with bat and ball. So it's very clear what their theory are, and their strategy is to try and pick up a couple of overseas quality guys that can finish games or can influence with the ball and the bat. So they've got a lot of very good. Paddy Cow was probably one of the young finds of the tournament last year at the top of the order batting wise, and I'm sure that he and maybe Josh Philippe potentially could open the batting there. And then if you look at, they've got some very good, young.
Philippe and who? Just Banda, was it you say?
Devdutt Padikkal, came out of obscurity last year as a young Indian guy to open the batting, and I think that's who they'll look at the top of the order. But then if you look at sort of up and coming Indian guys coming through, you've got Washington Sundar there, Shahbaz Ahmed, Mohammad Siraj. So they've got some good quality young, Navdeep Saini, good quality young Indian guys, especially in the bowling department, that they hope can then influence and sort of take it to the next level for them. And I think they'll fancy their chances this year if Kohli and de Villiers can have a good tournament, and Glenn at the big show Maxwell. You never know how they might go.
The key really for me is the winnability of, if that's a word, for Daniel Christian. Every time he gets in the side, he wins it. They win. I think he's got some 8 or 9 or 9 or 10 of the IPLs, Premier Leagues that he plays in, that they win. It's pretty scary figures.
I mean, if he's if they've signed him as a good luck charm and he comes on and influence, I don't necessarily think, if you look at their overseas slots, that he's going to play loads. Purely because Jameson will obviously play, Glenn Maxwell, AB de Villiers. They've got Adam Zampa, Josh Philippe, Kane Richardson. So they've got a lot.
They're only allowed to have 4 overseas players playing in one game. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. So obviously de Villiers, Maxwell, and Jameson probably naturally swipe up 3 of those slots, and they've got to get Christian, Daniel Sams, Adam Zampa in for the last one. So it just depends on. They're obviously quite lucky that they've got some good Indian bowlers. They've got Chalal, Sundar, Siraj. So and then if you had Jameson and Maxwell there, then they might play Christian as that sort of guy that can bat in the middle order and bowl a few overs if needed. Or play Felipe as keeper. Sorry.
Yeah. I can't see. This is going to sound a bit strange, but I don't think that de Villiers and Kohli will play on the same side when it comes to the crunch. Why? Because if they're going to afford 4 international players and they want to bowl a strength such as Jamieson, the all-rounder nature of Christian, and a keeper, which Josh Philippe is, why would they? They're going to have to think of who they're not. Leave out.
I disagree completely. De Villiers is in the top 3 batters in that tournament. He's insane. He's one of the best players in the world still, and he's kept wicket for them before. He's a keeper. He's kept wicket in Test cricket, so he might keep wicket. But there is 0% chance that AB de Villiers and Kohli don't play every game, because they're probably the best 2 batters in that competition, arguably, in terms of winning matches. So yeah, 100% they'll be playing together every game.
All right. I was just wondering.
They might keep wicket with de Villiers, and that frees up that slot for an Adam Zampa or a Dan Christian, depending on how they want to make their side up. But if they've got Chalal,
so what are they going to do with Josh? You're saying that Joshua Philippe will just bat?
Well, I'm saying if de Villiers keeps wicket, then Philippe probably won't play, and they'll go with some of their sort of the younger Indian guys and bring maybe Dan Christian in the middle order to strengthen both skill sets.
Okay, so out of the 8 teams, we see a full squad there.
Mm-hmm.
What's the chance? We've got 8 teams, so I want you to literally slot them into a 1 to 8.
Oh, I need to write this down and see if I can predict.
Can't hear you.
I need to probably look at it a bit more, Norman. Where's my pen? So you want me to predict? What I'll do is I'll predict now an order of which they finish.
Okay. I want to see. Let's just slot them in for somewhere for the moment, okay? You can move it around as much as you want.
Before the final, so we're saying after the group stage. Fine.
You've just said they've got a chance of winning it. So where do you want
they'll finish in the top 4. I think they'll finish the group stage, the 14 matches, in 3rd.
Okay, put them in 3rd. Let's put them in 3rd. All right, I'll agree with that.
And they're probably my team. They're my favourite team, especially now they've got Maxwell. AB de Villiers is probably my favourite. Up there with Chris Gale.
Okay. I've worked it out with your reaction when I said he might not be in the same side as Cole.
I reckon anyone. Our Music Harmony's back. What does Music Harmony think? Norman said that AB de Villiers and Foley might not play together, and I said they'll be playing every game because AB de Villiers is arguably the best player in that competition with the bat when he's in form.
How many times did he play for RCB?
Oh, he's played there the last 3 or 4 years at least.
Okay. How many times has RCB won with him in the team?
Oh, they've not won because their bowling's let them down.
Well, I'm afraid I don't care what you say about how good he is. 3 or 4 times the main player in the team, and they haven't won. That's not exactly what I would call a good record for him.
Well, I mean, his batting record would be pretty strong, I would suggest. So, I get your point. But he's as a batter only. Let's put it like this: he would walk into every single IPL side as one of the first names on the team.
Okay, you know what? I must say that the reason why I'm so strong with Dan Christian is every time he plays for a team, they win in comps, right? And I don't care if you could have King Kong playing for you. If you don't win the comp, then I'm sorry, I don't agree with you, because I think you can have the best player in the world, but you don't win anything with that best player in the world, then that doesn't mean that they are, going to win. They're going to be worthy of commenting in that way.
Music Harmony. AB has won the most number of Man of the Matches awards. Is that an IPL history or just for RCB Music Harmony?
Okay.
But it's like saying Rashid Khan not the best bowler in the competition because he's never won a World Cup with Afghanistan. You can play along with these.
That's a bit different because Afghanistan's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the IPL. Let's not bring Afghanistan in. Okay. All right. So you think 3rd. We'll leave it at that. Let's move on from your favourite team. Let's go back to the beginning of the list to Chennai Super Kings. Pull that screen up. Certainly, we've got Dhoni, who's pushing. How old is he now? My God.
Old. He must be in his late 30s, mustn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, 35, 36?
Oh, more than that, probably. Someone look up quick info for his age, would you? Okay, so MS Dhoni, to me, it's his presence that's more important than anything else, okay? His winnability, yet again, he has won this title, correct?
Yeah. Well, he would have done that because he had non-stop.
And he also had Suresh Raina there, and he had Jadeja, I believe, as well. They all 3 of them won the title before. That's an important triumvirate there. So they made very little changes. Relatively few additions, other than Moeen Ali because of his, I guess, all-rounded nature and his bowling. They picked up Reddy, Varma, Nishanth, and Gautam, but most interestingly, they picked up Pujara.
Yeah, I think that I know that Apana yesterday said about him being, his. I think that there's probably just a little bit more of heart, a little bit of Indian loyalty there, as opposed to them seeing him playing a massive role in an IPL season. So he's not a 2020 cricketer for me, is he?
There's been comment made. Akash Chopra made some comments who I know very well about Pujara. He would be better off playing county cricket, leading into a series in England. He'd probably get paid quite a bit of money doing that. And
I think that I saw somewhere this morning in the papers over here that he's been tipped to come over anyway. So I imagine that he might play the first sort of half in the IPL, maybe more as like a batting consultant. I'd be very surprised if they play him as a number. He's not he's a fantastic cricketer. He's not a 2020 player, is he? So good luck.
Yeah, that's true. But they've got good bowling strength, haven't they? Imran Tahir.
Just look at their side, and I'm going through their squad. Dhoni, du Plessis, Raina, Robbie Yapata, Dwayne Bravo, Imran Tahir. I just think that they're an old setup. That they're aging. They're probably going to be one of the oldest setups in the IPL, and I think they'll come bottom. I think they'll come 8th. That's where my
hang on. They've got Hazelwood and Nagiri, and they've got Thakur and Santner, Imran Tahir. That's not a bad bowling line.
Yeah, Sam Curran will play a key part too. He got retained.
So their bowling line is pretty strong. I think they're not. I think they're better than 8th. I think they may not be.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the strength of the. I'm just looking at the strength of the other sides. You know, I'm all I'm doing is I'm trying to. I've had a look through briefly, and we'll look through it again now. And I might change the order around after we've discussed. But I just think that they're quite an old side. They struggled a bit last year, and although they've tried to freshen up a little bit, they've still they haven't done it massively. And I don't see them being as strong as other sides. Hence why I think they'll come bottom.
All right, okay. All right, we put them as 8th then, but I don't agree with it. But I'll put it. Siddharth Benawal says DC. I'm sure he's from the Delhi Capitals. We'll get to them very shortly. All right. There's not much to talk about with CSK.
I want you to do your order as well, Norman. You can't just let me predict my 8 and then hang me out to dry when I get it wrong. You can't just sit there laughing at me. You've got to do yours as well.
Are you saying I'm sinister or something? Is that right?
I'm just saying that you've got to back up and.
All right,
and
all right. I'll back it up I'll put my things in. Okay. So we've done
RCB and Chennai.
I would argue that RCB will be. I think they'll be 4th, and they won't win it.
I can do it here. I've got another bit of paper if you want me to.
Okay, all right. Okay, yeah, do that. Okay, I'll have RCB at 5th.
Okay,
and I'll put CSK. RCB at 4. Okay, and I'll even put CSK at 5. Okay.
Yeah. RCB 4.
Yep. And CSK 5.
I can hang these up on my board. We haven't had the board out for a while.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. So that's what I've got so far. All right. Let's move on to the next one.
CSK.
Mumbai Indians is the next one.
For
me. My God. They've picked up Kuldanal and Nishan, which, they're pretty good. Arjun Tendulkar, well, he's there because of his dad, even though he's a commendable young player. Nice touch, though. Nice touch. I hope he gets a game here or there, but nice touch. Marco Jensen, what do you know about him?
Marco Jensen? I don't know anything about him. I saw him in the auction yesterday.
I don't actually.
But they've done very well. I don't know how good Arjun Tendulkar is. I said it seems like similar to Pujara, a bit of a fairy tale sort of story that just get him some experience in there. But I think we've spoken about before with Mumbai is how strong their Indian contingent is, and that's why they've always been. They've got Sharma, Hardik, Ishan Kishan, Jayant Yadav, Krunal Pandya as well, Chahar, Surya Kumar Yadav, and even picking up the likes of Poyas Chola for some sort of experience as well. So they're going to be very strong. You can't.
Chris Lynn, that's Chris Lynn, of course, and Bolton. Look, that's. I'd put Mumbai. I don't think Mumbai Indians are going to win again.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is a fair call because it'd be pretty amazing to win 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So I would argue they're going to be. I'll just put them down as 3rd.
Okay, Norman thinks 3rd, sorry.
Yep. They've got a great side.
They've got a lot of good quality. They've got some very strong overseas. Our Aussie and Apom favourite, Quinton de Kock's obviously in there, and he's one of the sort of players of the tournament every year. He's right up there in terms of points, fancy points and MVP points. Adam Milne, I think, could be quite a very clever signing. Is quick, has got lots of good slow balls and lots of good skills, as shown in the Big Bash this year, taking lots of wickets in England. And they've obviously got, the Bumrah factor, Hardik Pandya.
Would you like to see Rohit Sharma and Chris Lynn batting at the same time and going for
I would do. I mean, Chris Lynn could slot in at 3, I guess, but that's because Quinton de Kock and Sharma will open the batting. That's been as formidable an opening partnership as they've had in the IPL, anyone. And Surya Kumar Yadav has had that number 3 slot and has batted very well there. So it'll be interesting to see what they go with makeup of their overseas wise. It seems that Quinton de Kock will absolutely have one of them. Trent Bolt will have another one, I imagine. Kieran Pollard most likely will start with one of them. So it's then one more slot between, I would guess, Adam Milne and Nathan Coulter-Nile, depending on how they go. So Chris Lynn might struggle to get in there. I guess it just depends how they see their Indian bowling contingent. You've got Kulkarni in there as well. He's a very fine seam bowler. Rahul Chahar. So they might go with a full-on Indian bowling lineup. Then you can get Bumrah, Pandya, Kulkarni, Chahar, and Krunal Pandya in there. Then that leaves Chris Lynn maybe to slotting up the order somewhere.
And look, and not denying their final material, they can't have it all their own way, despite being good enough. So I would say I'm putting them down for third. Not that they don't deserve to be first, but only because the sheer weight of history tells you that you don't win 3 in a row in this. No one's won 3 in a row in this tournament, so I'd be surprised.
I've put them to finish second.
All right. Sunrise.
So we're in agreement that they're going to be. We're in agreement they're going to be in the mix in going into the final.
They're in the mix, all right, but something will make them just not go all their own way. Now, Warner's side, very little has changed in that, and they're only Sasis, Jadhav, and Mujeeb Rahman has gone in there, and he's gone in there even though they've already got Nadeem, and they've got
who's his Sunrisers, sorry.
Rashid Khan. But sorry, I didn't tell you. I'm making clear Sunrise side of what I'm doing now.
Perfect.
The fact that they brought in Mujeeb Rahman, there was some argument, why would you pick him when you've already got Rashid Khan? But really, I don't think there's a problem with that. They seem very happy with their batting line. And obviously, they've got the likes of Bear, so even Holder's worth a lot to them. Williamson and Warner, that's pretty strong. They've got Bhuvneshwar as a bowler, haven't they? They've got Rashid Khan, who's a bit like your Dan Christian in terms of being a winner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put them in a second.
Oh, really? So I don't think. I'm going to go against you. I don't think they're going to be strong enough to get into that top 4. So you think Sunrise is second? I just look at their bowling attack, and it seems that they're heavily reliant on the Indian guys. They've got Natarajan. I know that and Sandeep Sharma, Shabazz Nadeem. They've obviously been very skilled and high quality guys. I just don't think.
And Rashid Khan.
I just don't think, looking at them, that. I just don't think that they're as strong as other sides in terms of overall squad balance, if that makes sense. A lot of the other sides have got bases.
Didn't they go close last year?
I can't remember last year. I'm going to go 6th.
Okay. I'm going 2.
That's our first big sort of difference.
Okay.
Cool.
Delhi Capitals. I'm already saying first.
I know you're a Delhi man.
No, it's not about that. I'm actually more of a KKR man, but it's more to do with the fact that I think they're just the way they went about their auction was superb. I think Steve Smith getting him for a bargain was amazing. Tom Curran and Sam Billings, as you know, they're pretty worthy players. Umesh Yadav, if he's fit, will be great. They've got Wokes, Ishan Sharma, Amit Mishra, who is still someone I rate. Hetmar as a batter, Stonis and his form, Ravi Chandra, Ashwin, for God's sake, Axar Patel, pretty sure, Darwan certainly, Rahane, Punt, and Iyer. Oh my God, there's something about them. They seem hungry. I think there's a hungry look about them.
Yeah, no, I agree. They're a predominantly young Indian. That when you look at other franchises, I've said a few times that the sides that do well don't rely so much on their overseas. The overseas complement the young Indian talent they've got there, and they've got Iyer, Pant, Rahane, Shaw, Darwan, Ishant Sharma,
and Rabada and Norte as well. I forgot about Rabada.
I look at the side, and I think who their 4 overseas is going to be. I would imagine that you've got Rabada and Norkia have been very, very strong for them. Stoinis I thought would have played just because he bats and bowls. I think that Hetmeyer, Smith, and Billings are probably competing for the last slot. I don't think Steve Smith is an automatic pick in that side, and I could be wrong, but Yeah, no, they're looking side. I think that they'll probably finish top of the group. That's where my prediction is going to be. So.
Yeah, I'm saying Delhi Capitals for a win, meaning number one. Where are you putting them?
Yeah, I'm putting them in top two.
Top two or one?
Yeah, top two, as in top as well.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm pretty adamant about that. Something about them. I mean, having Rahane and Ashwin from their mental strategy and the way they bring young blokes through.
Yeah, I just don't know how much Rahane. I don't think Rahane will play in that side. Just because where'd you get him in?
I just didn't say it. But you didn't hear what I said. I didn't talk about him playing in the side, but being.
Oh no, I agree. Yeah. No, I agree.
He's not captain, but he'll be sitting back, just taking it all in and giving them a great deal of, calmness about them. I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. They've got a lot of very good, strong batting talent there, haven't they? So, it's going to be Darwan and pretty sure probably opening the batting. You've got Shirazaya at 3, Pant at 4. They've got a lot. That's why I don't know if Steve Smith automatically gets in. So, they've got a lot of good stuff there, and their bowling is going to be very strong. You've even got like Sir Chris Wokes, who has won a World Cup. He might not get a gig, but he's good with bat and ball, and they've got obviously the 2 big South African bowlers as well. So that's their strength, is their overseas bowlers, complemented by their sort of Indian batting. Whereas if you look at Sunrisers, that's almost the other way. You've got Indian bowling attack, and then
okay. Sort of I'm having a rethink about. I'm having a rethink about Sunrise Hyderabad. I'm dropping them. I've just had a brain snap, I think, with my second replacement. I'm going to say 6, not 2. Okay.
Oh, that's a bit. So you copied me, Norman. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just feeling that just had a momentary. So put Hyderabad at 6. But I just like everything about Delhi. A lot about them. I'm pretty convinced that they're going to do the job.
Yeah, so Music Harmony, Mystery Man Music says Ashwin, Aksar, Rabada, Norki, and Yumesh Yadav likely to be 5 bowlers. I mean, that they're not even calling on the likes of Ishant Sharma there, who's had a couple of years out of the IPL. I know he didn't get picked up certainly last year, the year before. He was always a Kings 11 man, I think, initially. But Ashwin and Aksar are forming a pretty decent, what looks like, partnership in the Test side. And they've been around for years. Aksar Patel's been around in the IPL for donkey's years. So Rabada and Norki were 2 of the leading wicket takers last year, and Umesh Yadav, seems a proper good pickup. And then if you add in Stoinis in there as well, can bowl some handy overs if needed. That looks a really decent, balanced side and squad all round. Really, I can't see any weaknesses there.
No, I agree. But I'm also looking very closely at team harmony and balance and complementary nature of it, and surviving the whole IPL process, which means injuries, longevity, a number of games, like for like replacements if someone is injured. Okay. I'd even have to say that. Okay, we'll go back now. We'll do KKR. Obviously, Shakib Al-Hussain was a very good choice. Harbhajan Singh, not really. Ben Cutting has not been in good form. I'm not really that overwhelmed by their inclusions other than Shakib Al-Hussain. The existing team.
They've already got quite a good sort of squad there, haven't they? They were clearly quite happy with the general makeup of the squad, in terms of overseas-wise. You've got Cummings and Lockie Ferguson, Andre Russell, Owen Morgan. So, they've got a pretty good side. They're always a very exciting side. And you always think that KKR probably should perform better than they do. They're going to rely heavily on Andre Russell to maybe pull his socks up this year and show some interest and have a good tournament. He only scored 100 and something runs last year, so he'll be a bit disappointed with that. You obviously got the young Indian guys. You've got Shubman Gill, Nitish Rana, coming through the ranks in the batting wise. Dinesh Karthik's been,
but they haven't really bought well. They haven't bought well, other than Shakib Al-Hussain. They haven't bought well. I don't see anything standing out in that group. And I don't. Well, what are you saying? Where are you putting them? I think they're going to fall quite heavily.
Yeah, I like to think that they would finish in the top 4, but yeah, I think they might miss out. I'm going to go. It's tough because I know the other 2 sides we haven't looked at yet, but I'm going to go 5th for KK.
Which one?
5th.
Okay, I'm saying 7th. Because if they get a couple of injuries through a tournament, I think, will be left wanting. If either Cummins or Ferguson, have an issue, they're going to struggle. Shubman Gill's good. Andre Russell's not someone you can rely on anymore. Even Owen Morgan, even though he's a good captain, he's not in scintillating form himself. Well, I don't mean just now, but in general, I don't think he hasn't been batting that well, has he? Of the last
He's
year
got some consistent runs for England over the last couple of years, and yeah, I think that he had a pretty good IPL last year, so I wouldn't be too worried about Owen Morgan's form. It's Andre Russell is quite a big, as a finisher, as a match winner, you rely on those guys massively to. The IPL is such a high variance competition that you have to win in order to win that tournament. You have to win games, that you have to snatch victories from the jaws of defeat, and Andre Russell's a guy that can do that, and they need him to be stepping up if they want to challenge the other guys.
I don't have a good feeling about them, which is sad because I do like. I'm a KK fan.
Devaraj Max commented, Norman and Chris, do you guys watch the IPL? Yes, I certainly do. I know that Norman is a fan too. I do. I like doing the fantasy, the Dream 11.
I don't think he was saying it negatively. I think he was just asking.
No. That's why I'm just answering it. Yeah, we do. We're keen watchers. We enjoy
I've been to a number of IPL matches live as well over the years, from everywhere from in Delhi to in Chennai, Kolkata, Mumbai. I've been to quite a few. I was sitting with the then MS Dhoni's manager, Pandey, and he was a great guy, and with Kunal Sharma. I remember that was one year, and watched the Delhi Daredevils at that stage win a game at the Delhi Stadium. What was it called? Feroz Hokla. Kolkata was amazing. I went to an opening ceremony of the IPL in Chennai. No, sorry, in Chennai, in Kolkata, and it wasn't at what's the stadium there? It wasn't at Eden Gardens. It was at not Joe. It's got an unusual name. It's actually where they play soccer, and it holds 100. It's probably as big, if not bigger, than the Ahmedabad ground. It's a soccer ground, and they had their opening ceremonies. It was pouring with rain, but the stadium was practically full. And what's the name of that stadium? I've forgotten it now, but it had a specific. Someone out there, tell me what the stadium's name was, guys. That's in Kolkata, not Eden Gardens. It's basically a soccer stadium, and it was just scary big. It's a magnificent stadium. I can't remember the name of it offhand.
Raj Sonu comments, KK have almost 4 fixed Pat Cummins, Owen Morgan, Andre Russell and Sunil Narine as overseas. I disagree. I don't think Sunil Narine will walk into that side. I think that they'll play Shakib Al-Hassan over Narine. I think they're very similar. I think Narine is past his best. I think that since he got called for throwing, his bowling's not been the same, and his batting's just too inconsistent. He'll get 3 ducks and then get 50 or 15 balls, and I think they want someone a bit more consistent than that. So I think that Shakib will take that role. And not
Large Jonas has just told me Salt Lake Stadium. That's the name of it. It's called Salt Lake Stadium. That's the one that I was at for the opening ceremony. Amazing. Nalakshi Sharma, hello Nalakshi, she's online, our friend. I want RCB to hold the trophy on this time. Well, I've got them 4th. Where have you got them?
3rd. I think they'll definitely make finals. I think they've got a lot of good.
They'll make the finals. That's a good sign. Yeah, so Salt Lake Stadium. I remember because of Salt Lake City being an American name, Salt Lake Stadium, and it holds 120,000 easy. All right. Did you want to go on a bit further?
Yeah, Rajasthan, is that the next one?
Hang on, I've just lost the page there. Okay. Yeah, the 2 we've got left. I think we've got 2 left. We've got Punjab Kings, the newly named Punjab Kings, and we've got Rajasthan Royals. Let's do Rajasthan Royals next.
Sounds good.
Well, you're going to like them because it's full of English. Stokes, Butler, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of English in this. Well, there's at least two. Is there more than two? No, there's only two.
Stokes, Butler, Archer. Liam Livingston got picked up in the auction yesterday by them. So that's great.
Yep.
Great for him, and he'll settle in well. You know, he's a pretty strong.
He plays so well in the PBL.
They've recruited pretty well, I think. You know, they've picked up Mustafiz Rahman, the Bangladeshi opening bowler, has played a bit in the IPL. He played for, I think he played for Kolkata, maybe for Rajasthan. The Fizz, they call him. I can't remember who he played for a couple of years ago. Chris Morris has obviously come in as the big new signing, and he's obviously going to play. You know, they've spent that much money on him, so you know, I would imagine. You know, they've got David Miller in there, Andrew Ty. They've got some very decent quality all-round cricketers in there on the overseas front. So, you know, I would imagine that their four overseas guys Stokes, Butler and Archer are absolute nailed on. And you'd think that Chris Morris has to go in as the fourth. They've obviously gone out of their way to do it. So
they can't. I'm sorry, Chris Morris is, I don't want to say overrated. It's not fair. He is a worthy player, but he won't win them the flag by coming in at that price. Again,
no, I mean I guess he's got a lot of experience. He bats and bowls, and you know I think that was a very high price, but it shows you what premium these sides put on good fast bowlers who can bat as well. So yeah, he's obviously going to play a lot. They're obviously picked him to. They're not going to pick him to bench him and play other overseas. So they've obviously identified that they need a seam bowler in there to go with Jofra Archer. If you look at their sort of stats last year, Archer sort of was the spearhead, and not many people backed him up. So I assume, you know, Morris is going to go in there to open the bowling of Archer and to bowl to death with Jofra Archer. And then they've got, you know, Ben Stokes can bowl a bit. Kartik Tyagi came through last year. You know, Jadev Indikat as well. So yeah, I should like the Rajasthan Royals more than I do, just because of the England contingent. But I'm just worried that, you know, with other sides have got high quality Indian guys. You know, they've not got as much sort of international experience on the homegrown front as the likes of Delhi or Mumbai. So I'd like to see them do well, but I'm going to put them to finish. I don't know. I've got 4 and 7 left, and I know that I like Punjab, so I'm going to put them to finish.
What's
I'm going to put them.
It's not holding this. It's just early discussion.
No, I'm going to shift people down. I'm going to shift Kolkata and Hyderabad down a slot, and I'm going to put Sunrisers to finish 7th, Kolkata to finish 6th, and I'm going to put Rajasthan to finish 5th.
3. 3rd.
5th.
Okay. I'm not moving. I'm putting Rajasthan Royals as 8th.
Last. So that means you think Punjab will finish 2nd?
Yep. And I say that with great certainty in my mind, because I think Dawood Malan is significant here.
Mm-hmm.
Richardson will have to be significant. Mozon Reeks. Meredith, yeah. Well, I was watching Jared Kimber talking about him earlier on. He said he was involved with the Melbourne Stars, I think it was, and he was the tactician there, and he said that he bowled very consistently around the right hip, which is just like tucking him up. But if he does bowl consistently one line length, these batters will just change their stance to suit. So I don't think that's going to be a necessarily winner.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. They've got some good Indian talent in there, haven't they, already? You know, we've spoken about quite a bit that the good sides are built around their strength in the Indian homegrown guys. And, you know, you've got KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal was probably the most successful partnership opening batting last year in terms of runs scored. They both scored plenty. You know, you've got Mohammed Shami in there, Deepak Hooda, Mandeep Singh's been a pretty much a mainstay of the side for a while.
It'll be Rahul Agarwal and then Milan at first drop, if you ask me.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And Pooran will play. He's probably one of the most exciting players in the world at the moment, batting wise. But you know, my heart just tells me that I'd want to get Chris Gale in there. You know, he had a good IPL last year. I know he's getting on and he can't field, but in terms of winning a match, I mean, they were rock bottom last year. I think when they didn't pick him and they came in, and he had an impact straight away on that side.
That's true.
I just think that from a from a heart perspective, from a romance perspective for the game, it's great seeing Chris Gale in there, because I don't know how you can't love him. And I think he lifts that side of it. So I'll be interested to see. I really hope that Gale plays, but I don't know how they'll make it up. Obviously, Jai Richardson and Darren Milan have to come in and play. Nicholas Puran will play, so it gives one more slot. They rate Chris Jordan because of his Yorker bowling, and then you've got Riley Meredith as well. So maybe they see Riley Meredith as a backup to Jai Richardson on the rotation side. But I'd love to see Chris Gale play, but it's increasingly hard to keep getting him into these sides.
All right, so that's it then. Okay, you rattle off yours.
So my predicted table. I think Delhi will finish first.
Yep.
Mumbai second, Royal Challengers third, and Punjab fourth. And then I've got Rajasthan fifth, Kolkata sixth, Sunrisers seventh, and Chennai with a wooden spoon.
Well, we've got the same makeup for the top four and the bottom four. If that's a grouping you'd like to put together, we actually agree on our top four, not in order, and we agree with our bottom four, not in order. Quite frankly, whether they're 8th or 7th or 6th, it'll be of no relevance because they'll be out. That makes we're actually very close, Chris, in terms of top four, bottom four. Order's another thing, but that's interesting, isn't it? We didn't really know. We didn't expect to do that. I did change my Hyderabad positioning, but I realised that was too good for them. But Delhi Capitals and Punjab are my gut feelings. Mumbai Indians, purely because they've won that many years in a row, it'll be hard to keep winning. So what's Music Harmony saying? He's saying they finished last year, last year as well. Who are you talking about? Is he talking about
Punjab, I think?
Yeah, well, they're not going to come last this year.
No, it's difficult to predict a winner, just because when you get to those finals and the qualifier, there are so many. Every side's got so many match winners that in a one-off game, anyone can beat anyone, and that's the beauty of it. Obviously, over 14 games, like group stage, if you like, the better sides tend to shine through. And
KL Rahul was very much like, I would argue, Rohit Sharma in terms of his leading by example type batting. And I argue that he should be in the test side, but for some reason he's not. He's been preference for the T20 and 50 over version. And he can also keep, which I'm fine, which we're seeing evidence of as well. I think they've got, as long as fitness goes their way, their bowling's probably not as strong as I would have expected. With Richardson coming in, it may well be, but I think there's a lot going on here. And Shah Rukh Khan, not the movie star, but the player here, is given a very high rating as well. So, and Fabian Allen's apparently someone who's got a great. I've heard a lot of people talk about him as well. So, I think that this side's going to go very close. They may not win, but they'll be in the top four, and I reckon second.
Yeah, it depends on the fitness of Mohammad Shami as well. I mean, obviously he's currently broken his arm. So yeah, I don't look at them and think that they can win it just because I don't think their bowling's there. And if you look at the sides that you predict to win it, have got very high quality seam bowlers and a couple of good spinners. And Jai Richardson might prove to be the difference. You'd hope that he might do, but I'm just excited to see how they go because I've got a lot of in terms of where my heart's at. I've got a lot of guys I like in that Punjab side. I like Chris Gale, I like Darren Milan. I hope he does well. So they're a side that I don't think will do great, but I'd like to see go well, if that makes sense.
Well, if Shami's fit, Richardson fit, they've got a pretty good opening partnership with bowlers there, I must say. That's very impressive indeed. So I think, anyway, so all right, so mine was the same top four, same bottom four, but in different order. Delhi Capitals followed by Punjab, followed by Mumbai Indians, then RCB at 4. CSK I've said 5th, maybe they're slightly high, but I'll put them in 5th. Hyderabad 6th, KKR, and I don't know, something about the Rajasthan Royals that doesn't sit well with me. I don't know. I just think the purchase of Chris Morris at such a hefty price, it puts a lot of burden on him. And you know what? One of the best sledges you can ever make to a bowler on a field is if he's got the highest price you can get in his ear real quick about. You're not bowling like someone's worth that much money. It does affect you.
Yeah, I think that they've obviously the reason they've paid so much for him as they probably looked at the market and identified what they need. And they probably sat there going, look, 3 other overseas slots are guaranteed. You know, other side, you think they could probably have 5 or 6 different overseas, whereas they're probably sat there going, Stokes, Buttler and Archer are playing regardless. But there are 3 frontline overseas, and that's not changing. They probably sat there, looked at the auction, said, what do we need? We want a seam bowler that can bat, and Chris Morris is probably the one that we can target who's available, and that's why they've gone all in for him, because they know that their other overseas slots are filled up. You know, Stokes, Archer and Buttler aren't going to be changed or swapped over. You know, they're going to play every game. So they've probably just identified what they need and what they want and just said, we're just going to pay what we have to get it.
Even though they get paid a lot of money to play in these teams, doesn't necessarily mean they perform well.
Absolutely not, no, of course.
And that's what concerns me about the side, because Stokes, Archer and Buttler, you would think they would win most games they play in, right? But because of their heavy schedules, they may not be mentally and physically up to it.
Yeah, it's tricky because you've got to have a look at the whole side makeup, and you might say, well, the rest of the squad, you know, it's hard to win games with just 3 or 4 players. And if you look at their Indian makeup, as I pointed out earlier, you know, there's not a lot of international experience. You know, if you look at the Delhi Capitals, they've got loads of Test matches in one day. As you look at Mumbai Indians, you know, you've got Sharma, Hardik. You know, you've got guys that have played a lot of international cricket. Whereas if you look at the Rajasthan squad, how many of those guys have played a lot of international cricket? Well, you know, Sanju Samson played a little bit. But apart from that, there's not much international experience there as well. And I think that's a massive key point for sides that do well. They've got, and I just don't see it there with the Royals.
And Music Harmonies is confirmed, which I actually thought was the case. Rajasthan Royals were last year, and they're last on my list again. That's not necessarily unlikely.
Yeah, I think that's just down to Indian experience in that side. You know, you've got arguably 3 of the best overseas in the competition, and the three English guys there. You know, and I'm not saying they are the best, but they're certainly up there. You know, Jofra Archer's probably the MVP last year. Joss Buttler would get into most sides, as would Ben Stokes. So they just lack a bit of depth and experience on the Indian front, I think, to be proper challengers.
So this team got rid of Steve Smith, correct?
Mm-hmm. It's because the reason they got rid of him, I assume, is because they've said we've got Buttler, Stokes, and Archer, and they're key. We need to get a bowler, an overseas bowler batter in, and Steve Smith's the one that has to make way.
Well, he went pretty cheaply, that's for sure. No, they're not doing it for me. And I know it's gut feeling based in most cases, because I think I see winner on other sides. I don't see it on their side. So Delhi Capitals, something's just all right about them. I just look through the side. I think now I get that side. They've done some very detailed research, so I've got a very strong feeling about.
I think the final, depending on how it goes in the group, I think final will be Delhi and Bangalore.
You think okay? I think Punjab will sneak their way,
and then it will be a coin toss in that final, because you've got some very good players on both sides. You know, if Bangalore got to a final, I wouldn't want to bet against Kohli in that kind of game. And with De Villiers and with the other guys there, I wouldn't want to bet against Virat Kohli. He's going to have the bit between his teeth. He's never won one. You know, he's captain of India. It's probably the last thing he has.
But he's been playing for 13 or 14.
Absolutely.
It's not like this is the first. It's not his last, nor is it his first. I don't think you can say with any certainty that he hasn't got the knack to win this for some reason.
No, I'm not saying with any certainty. I just think that he's going to be gagging, for the want of a better word, to win it. And hence why I think if they get to a final, I'd always back them. I know I like the side a lot, but they've got a lot of experience there now.
Music Harmony agrees with our top 4, by the way, which
good. And he's the mystery man. You know, we like Music Harmony. You know, he talks a lot of sense most of the time.
Well, we could just argue he's just copied what you and I have said, because we both said that. In fact, I'm extremely defiant. I'm going to be very defiant. I will not be changing my top 4. I'll tell you that now. The bottom 4 can play around as much as they like. I don't really mind that, but the top 4, I'm predicting Delhi Capitals. Yeah, for sure. Mumbai Indians by default, but they won't win it.
I could see. Yeah, I think Chennai and KKR. I mean, I might change it around. I think KK and Chennai might finish the bottom two, and I've said KK finish sixth. Because I think if Sunrise and Rajasthan can find some form, then they've got a lot of potential match winners. Rashid Khan, Bairstow, Warner. So yeah, I would say that maybe I'll swap.
Warner's not. I'll tell you right now, Warner will not have a good series. Why I'm saying that? He's been out of form for quite a while. He's not very good in these COVID situations. He's going to have to go through it yet again very soon. He's had virtually no cricket. He's not playing for New South Wales at the moment in the state matches, which was his opportunity to get some sort of cricket under his belt. He didn't play in the game just the last few days, why is that? When 15 Australians played in that game, right? They had 15 on both sides, all included, including a number of IPL players. And I'm a bit miffed. Unless he's injured, what's going on? Why didn't he play? And I think his form's been pretty ordinary for a fair while now. And he may not be. And he had a crescendo with this side, didn't he, that year that he won as captain? And I think that's a crescendo you don't necessarily come back from, is my opinion.
I just think that he's always done well in the IPL, and I think that he's still a match winner, even if he has a poor series. He's still going to score 100 or still going to win games. And so yeah, I mean, of the two sides not in the top four, I can see Sunrise or Rajasthan being the ones to potentially force their way in. I don't think Chennai are potentially good enough to push their way in. So Abhishek, AVL, Calco said it's a bold prediction. Chris ignoring Mumbai. And neither of us have ignored Mumbai. We both think they'll finish top four. I just think that they might not make the final.
No, it's difficult for any team to make that many finals and win that many finals in a row. It's statistically not in their favour. Not that they can't do it, but something will go wrong. There'll be an injury or two. Then Rohit Sharma might be injured. Who knows? It'll be something that will go on that won't necessarily. I mean, Rohit Sharma, the man who I predicted getting 147 not out, and I was right. And I can replay that laughter of Chris when he thought that I was completely off mark. Well, mark my words, Delhi Capitals. Watch the screen now. Delhi Capitals are going to win this. It's my fault.
No, I think that there's more in it this year as well. With it, there's a 2020 World Cup coming up this year, so there's going to be a lot of players in all form. Not just the Indian local players. There's going to be the English guys, the South African guys, the West Indies guys who are going to be wanting to make a point to get picked in their respective sides for the World Cup, and there's no better place to do that than in an IPL in the same country where the World Cup's going to be played. So I think it might be one of the best tournaments they've had quality-wise, just because there's going to be a lot of players vying for spots and trying to prove their worth to their countries as well.
Mark my words, the top players who were paid from the auction yesterday, namely Morris, Maxwell, I'm afraid will not perform.
I think Maxwell will have a good tournament. I
don't think so.
So who's your ones to watch for the tournament then, Norman? Who are you going to say is going to be leading run scorer?
Milan.
You think leading run scorer in the whole tournament?
I'd probably go for one of the Indian players for that. I think KL Rahul's going to have a very good tournament. He's got a lot to prove because he's been on the outer a bit because of test matches. I think Rahul's going to be up there. I think Joshua Philippe will get a few runs. He's in form already earlier on. And he wants to show his worth. But I think Milan by a country mile.
I hope so. I like David Milan. I think Jofra will take lots of wickets. I think Quinton de Kock will have a good tournament as well. He's been in a bit of a stick with the South African captaincy at the moment.
Well, he's losing it, isn't he? He's lost the captaincy.
Yeah, I think they've taken it off him. And consistently wise in the last 3 or 4 IPLs, he's always been right up there, runs and dismissals wise. So I think de Kock will go well. Who do I look out for young Indian wise? Adikal, I think RCB opening bat. He's going to be very good. Instacrick says David Milan is overrated. I mean, if you can back up, and why do you think he's overrated? The guy's the number 1 batsman in the world in 2020 cricket and averages over 50. And if that's overrated, then I don't know how. What else he can do to prove that he's very good. So I agree with Norman. I think I'd love to see Darren Malang do well and have a good tournament. Nicholas Puran's another one I think is coming into his own.
And they're both the same side, aren't they?
In terms of a destructive batsman.
They're both in the same side. Milan and Puran. That's a pretty lethal pairing, I reckon.
Siddharth Benawal saying Rabada. I mean, these guys are all going to take plenty of wickets. You know, they're the best for the last couple of years for a reason. I think Pat Cummings would want to see him having a better tournament as well. So
the players that didn't get picked up in the auction, Alex Carey's one. Labuschagne get picked up? No.
Alex Hales missed out, which was I was amazed. The only reason I can assume Alex Hales missed out is because maybe the Indian contingent looking to pick him up don't like the fact that he's had the drug problems and been bad before. And maybe just a karma thing. I can't see any other reason why he wouldn't got picked up.
Well, that's a pretty significant reason, Chris.
Yeah, but I think the general consensus is. But then again, they picked Steve Smith up, you know, and David Warner up, and they've been they've been banned and had some bad stuff before.
Shakib was saying, I think he's got a lot to prove because he had that ban in his time, and he's been, you know, he wants to be prominent again. I think he's chomping the bit.
Another one I was surprised, by the way, and we haven't mentioned him at all, is Adil Rashid. You know, as a leg spinner who's in white ball cricket has influenced, you know, he's won World Cup with England. He's been probably the best spinner in the world in the last three or 4 years. For him not even to get picked up by a side was weird, and there's not much been spoken about it.
Nilanshu Singh reckons Milan's not proven in Asian conditions. That's not true. He has got form. I can remember him playing well. I'm sure he's got form in that condition.
I think that the Asian conditions isn't as significant in 2020 cricket because they tend to put flat wickets out. If you score 20 runs in England or in South Africa on wickets that seam and bounce, you know, you're typically going to be able to do it in Asian conditions. Different in Test cricket because the pitches aren't quite so batter friendly, but the Indians are very proud that in their 2020 and white ball stuff, they want to see big runs scored and for the crowd and for the entertainment point of view. So
the other was they mentioned Vihari. He's not unlike Pujara. They're not really suited to this format. Vihari's just, you know, he's just too slow.
Yeah, I would back you up there. I think that's probably fair.
Yeah, so the stadiums are not confirmed yet, large owners, but if the Chinnaswamy stadium's used, well, we know what's going to happen there, and that's true.
It's tiny, isn't it? It's not a big ground, and that they've got, you know. I think Maxwell will have a good tournament. I think that he's quite an arrogant player, isn't he? He's quite proud, as pretty much all Australians are. You know, they're very proud people, and he had a bad tournament last year. And I think he's got a point to prove this year, and he's been in good form. You know, he scored some runs in the Bash. He's done well for Australia. So.
Yeah, the point that everybody was talking about in Australia, he didn't go for the 2.2 million contract. Well, sorry, he was dumped at that point, arguably, but he came back and he got 2.5. Doesn't make
Sometimes
any sense.
you just need a fresh start. You know, it might be that he didn't quite get on with the captain or the coach at Punjab, and he might go in with AB de Villiers and Kohli and team or the coach there. I don't know who the coach is there, and he might just, you know what it's like. Sometimes under different management or different people, you perform better, and different crowd, different ground. You might just need a fresh start, and I think that Glenn Maxwell might have a good tournament this year. I think that's what they need, and RCB need him to go well, and they've picked him as their headline and spearhead guy to do that, and I think that he could complement Kohli and de Villiers very well.
Okay, but I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say that Kohli and Maxwell will not lock heads, but they're two very strong people, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think Maxwell's past his best. I'm sorry.
He's going to want to get in that Australian side for the World Cup, so he's got a point to prove, as a lot of them have.
He won't be getting that World Cup squad. He went out and did his own press conference media release thing himself, almost saying that he'll get in, and was disgraceful. I think he had no right to be so definite about something because he had nothing to prove. Sorry, he hadn't proved that he was at that position at this point in time. He has to have an outstanding IPL, but I don't think he's going to. That's my thoughts. He'll be the biggest disappointment.
Okay. Who do I think biggest disappointment? Are we talking about players who have been signed or people that won't do as well as we would want them to do?
Combination. Well, the big thing is that
I don't know.
Maxwell was let go for 2.2, came back at 2.5. In his mind, he hasn't been penalised enough. He would have deserved to have gone out and won something to actually realise that he's not worth as much as to prove himself. He's probably thinking, I've just got $300,000 more by moving teams, rather than what he should be thinking about is that he was literally dumped from one and picked up by someone else. I don't know. I think there's a wrong message has been sent out. And it's been very commonly, Adrian Raftery, someone I know very well here in Australia, wrote a fairly big comment about that. And I agree with him. It resonates. How do you lose and then go up money with someone else? It doesn't wash. I'm sorry.
Yeah. La Janus. There's a 12th man in there somewhere. Surprise Ishuru Udana didn't get picked. I think it's the first time since its inception that the IPL hasn't had any Sri Lankan players, which is just a shame. There's some very good, talented guys in there. And I don't know how much I want to dip my toe into this, but it's just always a shame that there aren't any Pakistan players in the IPL. And I know why, and we're not going to have to touch on the politics.
Well, they've got their own PSL to start with as well.
There are some very high quality cricketers in Pakistan, that Babar Azam, and Mohammad Rizwan, that you just think. And over the years, I mean, Shahid Afridi would have been just an unbelievably perfect player to have in an IPL squad, and it's just a shame because
their bowlers and their host of bowlers as well.
It's just a shame because of the political situation that they don't get a chance, and hopefully down the line that they might get a chance to. And I'm not going to touch on any more than that. But,
well, you're going to find a lot of Sri Lankan players playing in Pakistan, for instance. A lot of the Sri Lankan players will end up in the PSL, and I'm afraid Sri Lankan cricket is in a bit of a mess.
Mm.
I mean, they've got some great players. I mean, Angelo Matthews and Dinesh Chandimal are still there. And obviously, their batting's pretty strong. Their bowling's pretty ordinary in general. And I mean, the bloke that I think who should be given a go in the IPL is Dick Weller.
Dick Weller, yeah. I guess the problem is with Dick Weller is that he's predominantly going to be. He probably doesn't get picked purely as a batter. He has to go in as a wicketkeeper as well. And a lot of the sides have Indian or good overseas keepers already lined up, and maybe they just don't see they need him. If that makes sense.
When he's in, it does. But when he's in form, he's as good as anyone.
Oh, yeah, I don't disagree.
That's a pity for me. He should be in there. He should be a star. They should be getting paid a lot of money to be there. Sarah Pereira, he's off another comps now. See, a lot of these players are playing in all these lesser comps like the CPLs and the what have yous, and they're getting in their T10 tournaments, and then this thing, the ultimate cricket challenge, which went on, which was in a net, which a lot of the West Indians like Gale and Andre Russell were involved with. So anyway, I think that Sri Lanka's in a bad state, and the Rashid is the only one that I would pick out of that. All right, we've done a pretty good coverage there, Chris. It's gone over an hour.
Yeah, that's pretty
good. Hasn't felt like it.
No, it's just your company, Norman. It just it brings out the best in us. Oh,
that's one. It's a bit like the old an Aussie and the Pom talk all about cricket. We were going to talk about. We actually said we're going to talk about other matters like India, for example, because I believe there's a press conference coming out today from Ahmedabad. I haven't seen it yet, but it hasn't been sent to me. So
we've had a couple of comments just quickly from Visual Malik, who said, what I said yesterday about Kyle Jamieson and Channel is true today. And also Rupak Malik said, what do you think of Kyle Jamieson? The boy is very well unknown here. Yeah, was a great prediction yesterday. I thought he would go for a decent price, but I never imagined, he's now 3 times more expensive than any other New Zealander has ever gone for in the IPL. Beat Trent Bolt, I think went for 440, I think they said. And he's gone for
Kyle Jamieson's good. He got a lot of wickets in that recent series he played, and he can bat as well.
No, and it'd just be interesting. He's obviously, when he's bowled for New Zealand, it's been at home on green wickets. Good luck to the guy. I don't think anyone can sit here and say they hope that a guy like that who's sort of coming up and through doesn't do well. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't want him to do well. So no, fair play. And the Indians are going to see him quite a bit this summer if they make the Test Championship final. And he's tall, good bounce.
He's 6'8".
Yeah, I hope he does well.
Huge. And he's quite, he's quite the quite the Brett Lee in appearances. The one player that I'm going back in teams which I wanted to talk about was Mitchell Marsh.
Mm-hmm.
Mitch Marsh. Any team that he's in doesn't go well. I'm sorry. He's a bit of a jinx. Who's he in again? He's in
the Scorchers. He was in the Scorchers, and they came in. They got to the final of the Bash, and he had a good bash. He had a good big bash.
They didn't win, did they?
Yeah, but you said they don't do well, and getting to a final is pretty good. He's doing pretty well. No, I think he's overrated. I think that his surname has done him well, which isn't his fault. I don't think he's gonna. I don't think he's as good that with bat or ball. I don't think he stands out with either enough to be in a frontline IPL side. I wouldn't be. I'm not going to be predicting him to be smashing it up this tournament.
Yeah, he's with Warner. That's just hasn't really.
I think Johnny Bairstow might have a good tournament. I think he's got some good form, likes playing in the subcontinent, and he's going to want to prove a point for the.
But he can't do it on his own.
No, they've got Warner, Williamson, Holder. They've got some good players there. Rashid Khan.
No, they have got. I'm not saying, but they're not going to gel. Something's not right.
No, I don't. Yeah, but the only thing with the Sunrisers, they've kept their squad pretty much intact. They retain pretty much all of them. So it'll be their second year playing together. And Bairstow's got. There's going to be a lot of talk this summer in England about Alex Hales probably not getting picked in our World Cup squad. So people like Bairstow, Roy, are going to have to, prove to the public and prove to the selectors that they were right. And I think Bairstow's the sort of player who's quite arrogant and backs himself in a good way. And so he's going to be out there proving a point in the IPL that he doesn't want any. There's no debate about his slot at the top of the order. So he's going to.
It's funny. The comment there's a comment about Sri Lankan cricket. Don't worry about them. South African cricketers are now the minnows. That's not true. No way. They've had a bad series against Pakistan. Fair enough. Pretty difficult to play in Pakistan. They haven't played there for a long time. All the conditions are very Pakistan friendly. If that's the way of describing it. South Africa's. Well, at least the players they've got in the IPL are tremendous.
I think South Africa are falling down, and I'm not going to talk about the politics again. I think that the quota system they have there is an issue, and I'm not saying it's. I know why it's there, and I appreciate why it's there. I just don't. I never like seeing politics getting in the way of a sport. And if the South African side isn't as strong as it could be because they're not picking the best sides because of that quota, then that's just a shame from a cricketing only point of view. I get why it's there, and it's obviously something that needs to be sorted out, and is still a big problem in South Africa.
Why is Faf du Plessis not the captain?
He's retired yesterday, didn't he? He retired.
No, but hang on. Before the retirement, the last series he didn't captain. Was he handing the ball over to someone else? That's not. He should have retired as captain, in my opinion.
I don't know. Alistair Cook did it. Ricky Ponting did it. They retired as captain and carried on playing. So it's a precedent, especially for batters. I think if they get to a point where they just want to concentrate on scoring runs and contributing to the side and not have to worry about the captaincy side of it.
But I mean, has he really retired? He's playing IPL. It's not retirement to me.
From international cricket or Test cricket. Yeah. He's still available for one-day cricket and 2020 cricket, which, while he's still playing, why wouldn't you earn as much money as you can? And that's obviously more enjoyable.
Yeah, he's a very fit gentleman, though. He's certainly extremely fit. He and De Villiers they played together a lot now of a similar ilk. They're both very fit men. That's one thing about South Africans who are rarely not fit. Well, okay, why don't we bring in my mate from Cornwall, 150 kilos, with his, how many wickets did he take in the last test?
Rakeem, I don't know, he took 8 or 9, didn't he, I think?
No, he took 9 in one. He took 9 in one innings.
It's great to see someone like that be given a chance, and and it has to be the exception, not the rule. But it's good to see that he's playing.
Hang on. Why is it the exception, not the rule? Why, if you go back through the history of cricket, some of the best players were overweight?
Just because nowadays they're all very fit, they're all supreme athletes, and that's just the way it is. And we can sit here and talk about it. That is the way it is, and that's the way it probably should be. I'm not saying that.
Arjun Tonga won the World Cup in '96. Enzimama Huckback batted brilliantly. Cornwall's has got 15 wickets in a net match.
Let's just say Cornwall's had one test. Like, he's had a couple of good tests. He's not in the same breath as Arjuna and Enzimam, but
No,
that's just the way. That's just the way it is. They're athletes now. There's always exceptions to the rule, but they have to be good at fit. How would Rakeem Cornwall as a batter or bowler fare in India in 35 degrees? It's tough. So.
All right.
Music harmony. The pitch from Ahmedabad now, as of now, looks green. Norman and Chris. I bet it's not. This toss. They said that there was one day-night test match played in India before against Bangladesh, I think it was, and not. It was at Kolkata. No Indian spinner took a wicket in that test. The last test match played in Ahmedabad, and it's red soil apparently. They left a bit more grass on it, and it was against South Africa. And South Africa wiped the floor of India that test match apparently. So they won't. I'll be very surprised if they leave grass. And if they leave grass on that wicket, it brings England, Anderson, Archer into that game massively. And India can't. India cannot risk with this Test series giving England a sniff. And if there's grass on that wicket, it will suit England massively.
All right, Chris. We'll have to call it Chris. Everybody have given us great questions yet again. Lots of interaction. We've got our top order, the 1 to 8, which we see. The team makeup, so there. Obviously, injury form is going to come into all of this. The team harmony. You can't make a team win if they're not good as a team. I don't care who you buy. Big purchases do not translate to victories. And if you go back through the IPL, the big signings and auctions, the most money, do not work. Maybe a Kohli, because of his captaincy, he deserves it, but his team hasn't won yet. So I'm not convinced. The Mumbai Indians, obviously they've got a great side, but they also have great team harmony. And it's proven by winning so many flags in such recent years. And good structure around them. And I think Delhi Capitals
good quality Indian players. I think that's the key to all the IPL sides. The sides that have the Indian backbone of that side are the ones that do well, and Mumbai have that with their spine of their side. They're all Indian Test match one-day cricketers.
Yep. And going back to Delhi Capitals, to me, they're going to win it. I'm not a Delhi Capitals fan alone. I mean, I like the KKR, really. They're my team who I like. But Delhi Capitals look good to me. I think they're a cert. And I just like the way they went in the auction. It was just tremendous. All right, guys, we're going to head off now. All right, guys, thanks again for everyone. We'll have a session. We'll work out. We've got a few things going with the IPL, but we've also got Test cricket coming up. I've got a lot of interviews going on. Now, please, I'm going to make it very clear. I want you to view, like, and share this channel and let people know about it. You've all got WhatsApp groups. You've all got social media groups. Please forward the link to this to your groups. Don't just assume they don't want to see it or they may not want to see it. Send it to them because we want them to follow this. We want this channel to grow. It's deserving. We're up to around the 10,600 mark. I want to go further, not just for the sake of numbers, because I want this to grow and make people enjoy as much as what we do in doing it. Okay, so thank you very much again, Chris. Chris has been fantastic. He's a major influence on a lot of things that he does. He's tremendous, well liked by everybody. Occasionally not liked, I'm joking. But the reality
music
is
harmony or music harmony doesn't always like me. No, I'm joking. Me and music harmony is the best friends.
And Lakshi's saying goodbye. Hang on, Lakshi, we haven't said goodbye yet.
I know Lakshi. Right. Me and her, we both like Bangalore, so we're cheering on RCB this year. So AB de Villiers leading run scorer in the tournament. There we go.
No,
let's hope.
It's not going to happen. All right, guys. All the best. Thanks, Chris. Everyone, we'll speak very soon. Again, this is Norman Kochnick for Eyes on Cricket with Norman Kochnick. See you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.